Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. The following video, we are going to thoroughly go over these Tru-Tone Christmas lights. We're going to do all kinds of testing. We're going to test them on AC. We're going to test wattage. We're going to test amperage. Then we're going to compare them with a different kind of Christmas lights from wintergreen, and we're going to see the ins and outs of them. After that, we're going to plug these babies right into DC power, and we're going to do some more testing. We're going to test amperage. We're going to test wattage. We're even going to go right down the road and test for LUX. After that, we're going to have a little theory on whether it is economical to run AC Christmas lights on DC power. I'm even going to have a little example that I found on the webs of the most extreme case of trying to build a AC 120 volts AC to 120 volts DC with a 20 amp backer. A lot of money to do it. Can it be done for cheaper, for maybe less amperage? Absolutely. Is it cost prohibitive? Absolutely. I mean, something like this, a small scale like this, a set like this, to have it shipped to my door was $52. If I wanted to run it on 120 volts DC, add another $21 to that bill. So clearly not economical. Can it be done? Absolutely. If you got a lot of money, go ahead and do it. So, once again, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and now on to the remainder of the video. It's long. I got an expensive box for what's inside. Of course, you already know what's inside. So I bought a set of these for scientific purposes. So, got a little note. And they try to do everything in the vintage style. Even the label is off-white. Which is, who would ever think about making a shipping label off-white or antique white to make it look like it's been around the block a few centuries. So let's open this up. Of course, you already know what Christmas lights look like, especially Tru-Tones, because plenty of other channels have had this. And in the wonderful fashion of the Postal Service, it looks like it's been beat up and tossed around and everything else. So we got a little Techno. We'd love to see your lights. So you can send your lights to your pics to Tru-Tone. So you can go share at Tru-Tone.com, and it looks like they got a hashtag, so it looks like they got a Facebook page so where you can show off your Tru-Tones. And then their little receipt here, even that is off-white, antique color. Might as well open up like Christmas Story and just start tossing everything. Yeah, there could be anything in there. It could be a doggone bowling alley. There we go. So here we go. We have the Tru-Tones. And I got these in the jewel kind. So this is supposed to be a display box. So here's the back. Look at the back. Rediscover the magic of warm and bright holiday lighting with Tru-Tone. Tru-Tone bulbs are standard sizes and voltage. So I got the C7 jobs. Wonderful. And here's their the front side. Bright, warm glow. Featuring the remarkable Tru-Tone bulbs. Classic light set. It's a set of 10 for $50 and $52.17 shipped to my door. Wow! Just 6 total watts. We're going to test that. And I got the nice fancy kind. So I got the red and green wires. So, what do we got here? So we got superior LED Christmas bulbs that look just like vintage incandescent. Almost. Safer, cooler to touch, traditional glass. Features our Tru-Tone filament light source. Same bright warm glow as incandescent authentic vintage color. Average long life at 25,000 hours. A lifetime of Christmases. Consumes 88% less energy. 0.6 watt. I guess that's per bulb or lamp, if you want to get technical. Compared to the 5 watt incandescent. You also had several different choices of incandescent. You could get 5s and 7s and stuff like that. And then festive red and green wiring, connect end to end. Fuse protection. Space and it's 12-inch spacing. So what's funny is when you order this, of course, you get a whole series of emails of your order, when it's being shipped, when it's in its departure stage, and then when it gets the day of delivery, you get a delivery. It's going to be delivered today, and then post delivery. So your first email, of course, they give you some information, which probably can be also found on the website. So we want you to get the most enjoyment and longest life from your new lights. If you're using your lights outside, there are measures you can take to help protect them, such as uninstalling them when not in use for long periods. While factory sealed, all threaded light bases are more vulnerable to moisture penetration in an upright position. Inexpensive rubber gaskets can further add protection. So even the mighty Tru-Tones, just like any other Christmas lights, C7 or C9, water gets in between the bulb and the socket. So they recommend you taking your normal sockets, even these little jobbies, which almost looks the same as a almost other commercial type set, and they recommend you that you get either some kind of a washer system to keep the water out of the sockets during wet weather. So these are 2 examples of bulb washers. So we got the flat kind, and then we got the more contoured kind. So these little guys, this particular one, you put it either or. You can put it on a bulb, or you can put it on the socket first. So we'll steal a bulb out of here for demonstration purposes. So normal, C7 type bulbs got the brass looking threads and stuff like that. So our little contoured socket here covers the bulb and also makes a nice little inner seal, because it's got a nice little lip in there. So when you stick the bulb in there and screw it down, that's going to make the lamp more weather tight. So if you don't believe me, or if you think that all this extra effort is worth, it's just hype and stuff like that, go out during a rainstorm or after a rainstorm when all the water has dripped down in the bulbs and in the socket, and you'll actually hear them arcing inside. And it doesn't matter if it's LED or incandescent lamps. You can hear the sockets singing. I mean, you will hear them singing. So here's the flat washer type, which is adequate, but it's not as good as the more, the better looking silicone ones. They contour the bulb, they fit in the socket a little bit better. These are kind of a little bit of a, it's okay, but it's kind of like a compromised. You don't really know if it's sealing very well, so you gotta kind of just hope. So it kind of like deforms the gasket. So it's kind of like pushing the gasket up around the bulb, and it's probably making a decent seal along the socket. But as long as you can keep some of the weather out of it, you're a lot better off, and then you won't get the corrosion and stuff like that on the ends of the bulbs or the lamps. So it does pay if you want to take the extra time and effort to do that. Of course, it'll prolong the life of your strings, stuff like that. So I guess since this is a display box, too bad they don't have the cord somewhere nearby. Is it in there? Yeah, here we are. It's got a very nice soft wire, that's for sure. So here's the tags, and this first tag here tells you that the fuse rating. So it's a 3 amp fuse, and inside the bag is actual spare fuses. And then just like old-fashioned stringers, it's got this famous tag on here for all your UL safeties and stuff like that on here. But it has traditional mini light type plugs. So non-polarized plugs, stackable, and since it is end-to-end. I did say it was end-to-end. Yes, it is. So it's got the other end of the plug and stuff like that. So that's cool. So they say that it's what they say, 6 watts a set. We're going to test that. So we're going to get our little meter out, and we're going to test that. So we're going to plug in our awesome watt meter. So I think you can see that. So we'll get in a little closer, and we'll plug them in. See if it really is 6 watts. Well, it's a little bit better than that. It's 4 watts. Of course, the power factor is 0.82. So 4.2 watts, and that probably fluctuates a little bit as they warm up or cool down or whatever. So a little bit better than the 6 watts, and very nice tone, very nice color. So they do look very nice and very vivid for what they are and stuff like that. Of course, the biggest issue with these little guys is that they got a little bit of a flicker in them. So I don't detect it because I'm not that sensitive, but I bet if I were to shake it and stuff like that, that you can detect the flicker. And yeah, I sort of detect the flicker a little bit, but I've had some pretty poor quality LED lights in the form of the icicle lights and stuff like that. And the very first LED versions I got, they had a lot of flicker in them where even I could detect it, and it was like you couldn't stare at them once. Then, of course, I've been around the neighborhood and around the blocks where people, I'd say within the last 10 years, like 10 years ago when people started going to LED, yeah, flicker galore, it would drive you nuts. So these do have a little bit of flicker and a loose bulb. Oh, maybe not. We got a little bit of a defective bulb. Look at that. That's not cool. Guess it's just loose in the socket. Okay. So it's starting to go up now. It's starting to go up in the wattage. So it's up to 4.4 now. Started off at what, 4.2? So that's pretty cool. Of course, they got a little bit of flicker in there and stuff like that. So I don't know what kind. I don't know if there's any kind of electronics in there or anything like that. Probably not. I don't imagine there is. But. So off. I don't see anything in there. They do have a little bit of potting in there, probably to seal the glass from the base. So they would be open to mains flicker. Of course, they do have these little cute little Tru-Tone label on them. Of course, I got to be careful to realize that these things are glass. So there's a little Tru-Tone. Oh, so cute and adorable. So they take pride on that. Kind of like the old school GE bulbs and stuff like that. So I don't see any electronics in the bulb or in the lamp and stuff like that. So we can test out what a single bulb draws. Because I'm going to show you something a little bit cooler on a different brand of bulbs here that actually does have electronics in it. My switch ain't working. So it's not even registering on this little bugger. Does my switch even work anymore? Oh, the switch is bad. I'll have to get a new nightlight with a switch that works. So we have no registered, and it's probably only a couple of milliamps, so it wouldn't even register on here. So that's awesome. Get a couple of stuff on here. So we'll go back and plug them in for a minute. 4.5 watts. A little bit of flicker, but I guess the refresh rate is like 120 hertz, so you got to be really sensitive to see that. But if you move it, you can actually see it. So I don't know if the camera, I don't know if my cameras are set up to see the flicker, where you get the banding. That's the difference between my cameras. My cameras are picked up to cancel out the flicker, especially when, you know, sometimes when I got it in frame, the info globes, where they just look like they're scrolling and they're not flickering. Let's see if this one does it. So I got the bulbs right next. I got it right on top of the lens. So my cameras are not picking that up. The flicker. So we'll try the eye sheep camera. Let's see if they pick it up. This one is picking it up just a little bit. Just a little bit, not much. But I know some people's cameras, any kind of little bit of flicker or anything like that, they go. You see the bandings. So we got done with the suggestions of if you're gonna. They are both indoor and outdoor type light strings, but if you're gonna put them outside and if they're gonna be standing up, they say to protect protect your investment. If they're sitting on the side or upside down, it's not really going to have a problem. So we'll continue on with the final notes here. So of course they say saving the box. It's a great way to protect the bulbs during storage and also can help prevent tangled light strings. Tru-Tone bulbs aren't hot to the touch like those classic incandescent bulbs. Incandescent awesomeness. You still can't beat them because they're still awesome, especially in certain situations. Tru-Tone are hard to touch like the classic incandescent, but they still can operate at standard voltage. Kindly resist the urge to wrap any electric lights around your loved ones, no matter how adorable they look. So don't, you know how some people, they drape their lights around to get a picture and stuff like that. Don't do that. Just in case you get a piece of your jewelry stuck in a socket and then you get a shock hazard. So look at my time here. So I'm going to have to reset and I'll be right back. So now that we established our baselines on these guys, now we're going to go for the different brand wintergreens that have some electronic parts inside their bulbs. So I do have another stringer, and believe it or not, their sockets look almost identical to the because you can't really see very well. Let me turn the lights on. So here's my commercial sockets. Other than the color of them, it looks like it came from the same mold. So these guys, they got a name on them. They're Admiral. And these guys are well run. But it looks like a carbon copy. Even down to the how the wires go in and out. So one side is almost sealed, and the other side's got kind of like a notch where they put the bulbs in. So almost identical. Probably the same mold, they just put a little different name in them. So since this is a box of 10, I have custom cut one of my stringers to be a 10 string set. So now we're going to get my my wintergreens, and these are the flex filaments. We'll go back in the Christmas mode here. So these are the flex filaments, and I had a video of building my flex filament stringer with icicle lights. So 2 boxes of 5, and we're going to build our little stringer here, and we're going to do a little comparison between the two, and then we're going to have some real fun later on. I'm missing my cutting tools, so we'll just have to go into beast mode and just use random items, because these are brand new boxes. I never opened them. So these little guys are my flex filaments. And these guys look a little bit different than the Tru-Tones. So I'll have to turn the lights on again, and we'll take the Tru-Tone out, and we'll compare it with a flex filament. So don't know how well you'll be able to see this. So this is how they manage your wires to make it look like it's like an incandescent. So it's got a V in it, and a traditional incandescent, because you never be able to see the wires in there, but they got a couple of different V's on a couple of different axes. If you've seen an incandescent bulb, you know what it looks like inside. So we established that. This is how they mimic their filament. It's an inverted V. And now here is a flex filament. So it's the shape of a U. And it's the same technology as the inverted V. So they use one continuous filament, while the Tru-Tone uses 2 smaller ones that are connected at the top of the lamp. So that's how they do theirs. How to mimic the vintage look, but a little far of a cry. So that's the flex filament. So I don't have all the colors, because I never needed that kind to, because I used custom themes. So we will build our little light set here with red and white. So I was looking on the website of the Tru-Tone, and boxes of 5 that you can buy separately in any color that you want is a little over $9. So that's quite hefty on the price tag, where these guys here, they're a little bit less. I think they're like a little bit over $1 less. So there's our little stringer of 10, so we can do a comparison here. So now we can continue on here. So these guys were using about 4.3 watts and stuff like that. So we'll see what these guys use for a stringer 10. So these guys use a little bit more. where they use 6.3 watts. But they're also a little bit higher output. So they are definitely trumping the flex filament. So here's the two reds. So you can see that my flex filament reds are a lot brighter. Almost look like they're washed out compared to the flex filaments. So about 6.3 watts for a set of 10 compared to the 2 watts of the Tru-Tones. Of course, you know, every manufacturer is going to be a little different on their filaments and where they got them from and stuff like that. And of course, you know, there's going to be a lot of people that don't like the stark white, you know, of the flex filaments because they are a little bit overwhelming, especially at close distances and stuff like that. But you know, this is what I like. So we got a glass envelope. These are plastic, so you know, I'll be able to beat them up. And like I showed in my stringer and icicle light strings, I actually was scraping these, and they weren't scratching. I know these will scratch because they're the coating's on the outside. So we compared our little comparison here. Probably you can't really see it because the lights are actually blinding them. So 6.4 watts compared to, you know, 4.4 watts, but you know, that's like comparing apples to oranges and stuff like that. So we got that. Let's see if we get any kind of a reading on our on these guys in our watt meter to see if they see if it registers. Of course, it doesn't really register on a watt meter because it doesn't go down that low. So that's that for comparisons between the two build qualities here. So now our next little adventure we're going to be doing is Jordan Yu has a video on these little Tru-Tones and stuff like that, and it's trying to get them to run on AC. I mean, not AC, DC, and it is possible. It's already been proven on his channel and stuff like that, where you can run these on DC and stuff like that. But it can only be done on a small scale. I mean, if you want to do a candle scene or run a couple of different, maybe under 5 or like that, it can be done. The problem is that trying to make a power supply that'll take your mains voltage coming out of your wall, converting it to DC power while having the density of energy that you need to run a set, because even a set like this, you know, when you go over to DC power, the amperage goes up. So that's the problem with that. Now, on a small scale, and even at a small scale for running a little scene, it's cost prohibitive to do it. It's not a question if it can be done, it's a matter of cost. So, you know, you take something like this set, you know, $52.17. Now you got to build a power supply to run these on DC power. You're going to take $52, and now you're going to put maybe another, I would say something like this, probably going to cost you another $300 to get a decent transformer and then all the bits to make a bridge rectifier and then have it smoothed to make it work. It's not. It just costs preventative. It can be done. It just costs too much money to do it. That's just the bottom line. And I briefly went on the webs to see if it can be done, and yes, it can be done. But if you wanted to do a whole Christmas tree, first of all, the parts are almost unattainable. And if they are available, it's ridiculously stupid to build it. I was reading one post where the guy wanted to do that. He wanted to take mains voltage, convert it into 120 volts DC. At the time, this was several years ago, can't just get a single transformer to do it. And this guy wanted 120 volts with 20 amps behind it. So you have enough ass in the system, because you never want to run a transformer at full bore. They're going to burn out, and you're going to smell it and stuff like that. I've had a transformer that was rated for the job in hand. It was to take a 120 volts and convert it to 24 volts AC. That transformer was built with no overhead, and that transformer died, and it stunk before it died. I mean, it was just clearly overheating. It was just not built for the task, had no overhead, and it just died in short order. So if you wanted to do a whole scene, so let's just say, take an example, this guy wanted 120 volts with 20 amps, it was going to cost him about $2,000 to do it. And he would have to have 2 honking transformers, because you can only get the biggest transformer made at the time was 60 volts with a 60 volt center tap coming out at 10 amps. So the guy would have had to have 2 of them, and then on top of that, build the bridge rectifier and have all the smoothing capacitors in it and stuff like that. I mean, if you wanted to do a whole scene and say, well, I run all my Tru-Tones off of DC power. Well, how much does that cost you? Well, you know, the Tru-Tones are a little bit higher than normal and stuff like that. Well, it also cost me $2,000 to run it too. What? And on top of that, not efficient, because you need a linear transformer system that is inefficient in itself. The losses is just crazy to do that, and it's just not economical and not efficient. So that's why a lot of these places, they just say screw it, and they just don't do these large bulbs in DC, because it's impossible. So that's the story with that. So these little guys, and this is something that Tru-Tone could do, and they I don't know why they chose just to do it without it. And like I said earlier in the video, I don't see any kind of electronics inside the lamp. Now, my flex filaments, they do have electronics in each lamp. So in the face of science, I have taken one of my bulbs and I have sacrificed it. So I cut the base in half, to reveal the guts inside. Now, the only thing they could have done that I've seen is they never added a capacitor in there. And I don't know if it is possible to put a capacitor in this small scale. So here is the electronics inside each flex filament. So on this side, here's a bridge rectifier, and there's 3 resistors on here. So there's one on the top of this chip, and then there's 2 in the back. And it's all potted and stuff like that, so I had to take all the potting off. And there was also a wire in there to connect the bridge rectifier to the neutral side of the lamp socket, and then the mains goes in here, so that gets shot in. So here's this is the electronics for a flex filament from Wintergreen. So pretty cool. It's something that Tru-Tone could do to eliminate a lot of the flicker. That 120 cycle flicker that is in them. So that's what's inside each of these flex filaments. So you can just imagine, all this stuff just like that, and then it's all potted to make each lamp. So that's what's inside each of them, and then of course the envelope is solid color, so there's nothing to scratch off and stuff like that. So that's the story on the wintergreens, and of course, if I shake it, I really, of course, for me, I'm not that sensitive, so I don't see the flicker like these guys. Really, the only thing that I see when I'm doing this, I can almost see the individual LEDs inside the flex filament. So that's that. And then the story of running these things on DC, and then also trying to determine, if they're as bright running on AC as running on DC. So I do have my little LUX meter, and it's going to be kind of a not really scientific way to do this, because it should be inside a chamber, but just for rough and dirty measurement. And we're going to have to do it on a red one, because I don't have any of the other colors. I'm going to have to pull one out. So, just to go side. Of course, you can't see with the other lights on, but yeah, there's a big difference between the Tru-Tone and the flex filament. So we're going to do a rough and dirty test here. We're just going to put the bulb right against the meter here. Of course, you guys in YouTube land, you're going to have to start taking notes. So here's the number of the Tru-Tone. So about 36.7, and this is not scientific doing this. This is not the correct way of using this meter. But I got so many other bulbs running here, so you might as well say about 3,500. That'll be LUX compared to the Tru-Tone. I mean, flex filament. So this one, it's actually multiplying it by 10, because that's how bright it is. Because you see the, right underneath the 4, there's an X10 there. So it's calculating the brightness. So the flex filaments are a hell of a lot brighter than the Tru-Tones, because the Tru-Tones don't even energize the X10. But like I said, it's not a scientific way to measure the lamps. I mean, it should be in a chamber. So that's that. So now in the next little segment I'm going to have, we're going to hook these up to 120 volts DC and see what they do. So that'll be in the next segment. So now we're ready to see if we can run some Christmas lights off of DC power. So for me, and since I already have these, it's a series of 620 volt batteries all wired in series. So we definitely have 120 volts here. So we'll hook our meter up and we'll see what our voltage is. So we have 122 volts. So that's pretty close to, 120 volts AC power, stuff like that. Normal voltage. So let's see if we can light up some lights. Of course, should be a no-brainer, stuff like that. So we'll move this over, and then after that we'll do some amperage readings to see what a DC powered light string does. So we established that we got 121 volts. So we'll hook up our plug here. I absolutely love these Wago connectors. They make doing crap like this on camera so much easier and faster and safe. No janky wire twisting and stuff like that. So now we got a plug we can plug into. So we'll move the meter out of the way for a minute because we'll be needing that in a minute. So now we'll get our box of Tru-Tones out here. And we'll plug them in. Wow. Cool. I mean, they look just as bright as 120 volts AC. But we're not going to guess. We're going to test. So, just about the same readings on this particular one. So, we established that. Question is, do they work if you flip the plug around? Let's find out. So we're taking, I just plugged it in that way. I'm going to turn this 180 and plug them in. So these don't care what direction the DC current goes in. They light up both the same ways. So just to prove it again, unplug, we're twisting, we're plugging it back in. Cool. So that's awesome. If you want to run these things on DC power, you ain't got to worry about polarity. So now we'll use my winter greens. They're just as bright. So we'll see if we can trip the meter here where it went into X10. Yep. So if you can build a power supply, I mean, if you could do it, efficiently and effectively and cheaply, you could definitely take these Christmas lights and run them on 120 volts DC and eliminate the flicker because you're running on, there is no flicker in DC power. It's just the way it is. So now the next thing is, what do they use for amperage? Let's find out right now. So we'll go back to our Tru-Tones, and then we'll have to hook our meter in series here. adjust our meter here to run in amps, because we definitely need amperage to do this. So we'll get another Wago. So what does the Tru-Tones use in DC amperage? Let's find out. "28 milliamps? Really? That's all that takes to run?" Well, a set of 10, yeah, that'd be different. Well, that's interesting. 28 milliamps. While on AC, these things ran, what was it, 4 watts? 4 watts and 0.04 of an amp, or 4.4 watts, while the DC side, 29 milliamps. So that's interesting. Very interesting. So that we established that, now we can go to our other set here that uses a little bit more power. So on AC power, these things ran about 6 watts, or 0.05 of an amp. Now we'll test them on DC side. And these use 47 milliamps. And they're just as bright. I mean, let me tell you, they are just as bright. So that's interesting. That's interesting facts. That's what we do here. We test and get facts. So we established that. How about a single guy? What does a single guy use in DC current? Can't measure it on AC, it doesn't register, so we know it's pretty low. Because we can plug it in and it doesn't register on the meter. It doesn't go, it's not sensitive enough to measure 1. But what does it use in DC power? So 4 milliamps, 4.5 milliamps for the red one. Interesting, very interesting. So now we'll try a Tru-Tone, see what that does in red. .6 milliamps in DC current. Just going between the two, to eye, it's not as bright, just because of the construction. But I didn't test the meter here. $3,100 LUX. on the Tru-Tone. This one trips it out. I know it triggers it to the next level for this 10 factor. So for me, it's the same readings between AC and DC, but we already established that on the earlier videos. So it's not a question of if you can run LED Christmas lights on DC power. It is capable, but like I said, it's just not cost. It's just cost prohibitive to build such a contraption, to do it efficiently. I mean, if you got a lot of money to burn and stuff like that, I mean, yeah, you could build it, and then, you know, if you're that sensitive to it, where you can do that. Let's see. That's a trigger, because my other commercial lights here, they got a it's polarized plug for whatever reason. So we can plug these in. So we'll do it AC first. So we'll plug that in, and then we'll plug our Tru-Tones in, just to waste some more of your time, because I know, oh, I don't have a plug on these. And I can't plug them in this one because they don't have the, it's not, it's got that blade thing, so. An exciting video of the Tru-Tones compared to wintergreens. Yes, the wintergreens use a little bit more power. The Tru-Tones use a little bit less power. We've tested our amperages, we tested our wattages, we tested the theory, can you run AC bulbs that were meant and built for AC power? Can you run them on DC? Yes, you can. Doesn't matter polarity. No, it don't. In the case of my lamps, it doesn't matter. So we established that. We did our LUX test. Almost no difference between 120 volts AC and 120 volts DC. So we established that number. I would assume that this freaking video is stupid long, and you probably all quit watching by now because of the senseless babbling and stuff like that. So I think we accomplished everything that I need to do, everything that needs to be spoken of, driven. If you want to run DC on your AC lights, you can do it if you have money to burn. What am I going to do with these? Well, I'm not going to let them go to waste. They're $52. They're going on something. So there's a couple of little dark spots on the tree behind you. I might try to wire in the lights into that, and just so that they got somewhere to live. So that's it for this video for the Tru-Tone bulbs. We've tested, we debunked, we etched it in stone. True hard facts. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.